In a recent spectacle of grandstanding, Deputy Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, General Tim Radford, boldly declared that the UK is teetering on the precipice of losing its status as a significant NATO power. While he cites a dwindling military size as the culprit, one can't help but wonder if this isn't merely the tip of the political iceberg. Namaste and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host, Piyush. The UK, a country that has savoured a position of substantial influence within the US-led military bloc since World War II, now finds itself under threat of being ousted from the proverbial old boys club. One can't help but notice the irony as the nation that once commanded an empire where sun never set is accused of having a military barely bright enough to light a bulb. Radford's prominent bone of contention is the shrinking size of the UK army, which is on a trajectory of dwindling to 73,000 alone. Indeed, the British military is shrinking, much like its old empire. However, one must note that it's a strategic choice, not a consequence of blind budget cuts. It's a plan set into motion as early as 2021, reflecting the UK's modern military vision, favouring artillery firepower over infantry numbers. So, is Radford merely playing the concerned friend, or does his warning carry the undertone of a veiled threat? Only a month ago, Britain's top commanders did not mince words about the possible fallout if Vladimir Putin loses the war in Ukraine. Air Chief Marshal Sir Mike Wigston flagged a defeated Russia as a vindictive and brutal force posing a substantial threat to the UK and NATO. The statements departed from the collective wisdom of NATO, probing its capacity to respond effectively to potential Russian aggression. What then is the real issue at stake here? The thinly veiled threat to UK seems less about the shrinking army and more about daring to question NATO's capability and, more importantly, its political direction. Let us recognize that the UK is a nuclear power, packing a punch beyond sheer troop numbers. Its military might stands tall among the NATO countries, boasting the second-place rank in the terms of power index. While the size of the infantry might be shrinking, their quality and capability are by no means in decline. The British Army is no chihuahua to be bullied by the wolfish NATO or General Radford. Is this then an underhanded warning from the US using NATO as a marionette to quell any spark of rebellion in the ranks? Is the threat aimed at curbing the UK's audacity to voice concerns that could ruffle NATO's carefully preened feathers? Is it a forewarning that deviation from script warrants consequences? And if so, does the UK care? Absolutely not. The UK has consistently shown its backbone in international affairs, refusing to be a mere vassal state to the US or any other power. This debacle raises a question that cannot be ignored. Is NATO morphing into a political entity where dissent is punished rather than a military alliance designed to ensure collective security? The answer to this question will determine NATO's future and perhaps whether it will end up a casualty in the war for relevance in the 21st century. This concerns more than the UK's declining army size. It's about the audacity of a nation to question the status quo and seek a path less trodden. It's a power play masked as a concern that attempts to suppress dissent while quietly redefining the landscape of the military alliance. One thing is certain, the UK's rebellious spirit remains undaunted.